Thank you very much, Mr. Danjosang, and thank you very much to the organizer of Innovative City Forum. And I'm really glad to be here talking about Bangkok in particular, which I get involved in terms of policies. And as Danjosang mentioned, working as a director of Future Innovative Thailand, working as a policy innovations, that's something I could share today. All right. Let's start out knowing me just a bit, so then we can see, how I see things from here. I was born and raised in Bangkok, Thailand, and spent pretty much most of my professional life there. To others, Thailand is land of smile, and Bangkok is the heart of it. But if you ask me to name one word or one phrase about Bangkok, I would put the word, Bangkok is a beautiful chaos. Well, I found that many of my foreign friends agree so. Chaos might have, some negative meanings, but to me, it's all positive. Because this chaos, the chaotic situation brings diversity, excitement, new stuff, vibrant environment. And that chaos makes us, the citizen of Bangkok, so adaptable, so open to anything all around the world, but in the same time, we are always proud of our culture, of what we had. So this is a good thing about being, in an environment that changes all the time. You can expect the unexpected in Bangkok, you name it. My background is in industrial engineers, where function and efficiency come first. I probably cannot make beautiful things with my own hands or design good stuff. Look at my slides compared to Marco earlier. Those are my quite basic. But when I cannot develop it, but believe me, I really appreciate it. I have been overlooked. I overlooked the art aspect of, pretty much of the early of my professional career. But fortunately, I've changed. Now I'm the one person. I could be the minority in these rooms that are not designer or not into the art as much, but believe me, I am the majority of the citizens of the cities around the world. We can't make it, we may not fully understand it, but we fully appreciate it, and we feel the need of the new relationship between arts and the cities. Well, we can absorb things, to many of us, art and culture are the silent orchestra. Why do I say silent? Many of us living day to day, just like Marco mentioned earlier, we wake up early in the morning, we commute to work, we spend time at work, a little bit of caffeine here and there. Once we're done, once again, we get into the train, commute back to home. So we probably don't see things around there, but believe me, it's just something we consume every breath we take. A little bit of thing has been developed around the city does make a difference in terms of daily lives of the people. Having been working in several roles, teaching in university, where efficiency is the king, because I'm teaching as operations management. Another work that I have and working with the local government, aiming for the better and livable Bangkok, and also the engaging in the policy level to drive country towards the creative economy. So I was impressed by what I learned from the experts all around the world and see how things change over time. So if we look at, this is how Bangkok looked like from 1940s, 1970s, and now today, we have changed dramatically. Honestly, traffic's still there, but I hope it's gonna get better. And we actually incorporate a lot of innovations in traffic. In the city levels, we talked about putting out the technology. Bangkok administration itself actually implemented and launched the mobile apps so people know where to go and what to expect on the road. I'm one of the key customers using that all the time, besides the GPS in my car. We talked about the new idea of the urban development. Everything has been very centralized in Bangkok, so people have to commute to the center of Bangkok. The government, the Bangkok administration actually have planned to long haul, 20, 30 years from now. we would like to see the compact cities where every corners, every spot can be their own cities and pretty much self-contained. So that would help in terms of the commute, the traffic, and that would need the help of many things, infrastructures, and also the technology. When we talk about the art and the city in development, it's very common to see, well, in the past, city development commonly covers those waste management, healthcare, traffic management, environment, and all those, and accommodation of the people. But today, city development requires infrastructure beyond those hardware, not just the buildings, the roads, the highway, the railway, and all that. What do we need? Well, we actually need, to live happily. We would like to boost the quality of life. And too many of us and many local government these days, community and city development emerges from a belief that we can achieve sustainability objective. What do? Well, we need to properly understand and value intrinsic role of the cultural and the culture plays in every person's life. And our cultures can be expressed in so many ways, including arts. And arts is one of those things that we can be both, the culture can be expressed or can be counted as a historical culture that we have had in the long past, or the new culture that's been newly created, named it. We are the big fan of J-pop, K-pop, comic culture, adventurous culture, and many more things. We do that, well, because these are the people in Bangkok are living day to day. We are creating new culture every day, and that culture will have the can become more tangible through art around us. Look like art it is. What we can do in every person and at every levels, we are engaging in culture and very far more engaging in art than we thought. Things all around us, the way we design things, the way we design, the way we walk, what we see, actually are making an impact. If we're breaking down to the small units of cities, and what we talk about the communities. Each city contains different, countless communities. And those communities have the opportunity to develop their own skills, knowledge, and networks to address the social issues creatively using their own local resource. This is one of the community that we have in the, the center of Bangkok, Nang Leung. And I drive past this place pretty much every day from home to work. And I just realized it is just a wonderful spot. You name it, what you can find about, the local street, tight street, little bit of art here and there, a little bit of antiques, because this is the area that we have been active community for a long time. And this is one of the grand examples that I've been working with them last year, talking about how to leverage, the potential, the advantage or the skills, something behind this area. I think it's really neat. And this area in Bangkok, we have the plan that the MRT, which is an underground train, will go right under, which make a both positive and negative, but mostly now it's a positive. Well, they used to think that introducing a new way to get there might change the way they live. But they see how it's going to make the positive impact as a whole, economic value and economic point of view. So this is something that we work on as one of the projects with the help, with the lead of key stakeholders, the community itself, Bangkok administrations, and also with the help of the experts from Faculty of Architecture, Chulalongkorn University. So what we have, where we believe we can use their own resource, understand why we are, and they can lead the development of ideas, opportunities that will sustain themselves for the culture, for the family, for the identity, and in turn for the future of themselves. So that's something that we really like to look at it as a whole. Once we look at the economic point of view of art, Like I said, I'm from business school, so I likely to translate things into numbers. I feel comfortable that way. But once I do it, it was very difficult, to quantify, to put the money values to art. But we have some, calculation or some estimates right here. I strongly believe arts and culture drive economy, and they used to be the silent gear to the pure capitalism. But believe me, even capitalist policymakers now have opened up their minds and recognize these forces. The public art has been both intrinsic and instrumental value. Well, as an internal force, it refers to aesthetic value of any work of art. Instrumental force, or as an instrument that drive things forward. Although it could be indirect, but this value refers to the ability of art to educate, to stimulate commerce, to increase real estate value, and to build better citizens, and of course, increase the tourism and provide other benefits to the cities. The economic value of art, if I'm gonna gather up the value alone, public arts or visual arts alone could contribute to the local economy around $2 million a year. So that's a roughly approximate. It sounds little because I honestly say we probably don't have the whole sum of the values. But if you include those new media, which has played a role, directly and indirectly to the art and to the economy, to the local economy, it could sum up as much as $2 billion a year, and that's a Bangkok alone, and that's a Thailand alone. Thinking about, the contribution of this value to the whole world. So, and once again, this is just only the direct values. If we count on the indirect value, how they boost up human productivities, increase the tourism attractiveness, I think this value will be very, very enormous. Arts and culture pull the triggers to me in the 3 levels, and this is how we planned out pretty much of our policy at the city of Bangkok. I look at the 3 levels. Number 1, as a fundamental living at the individual level. Number 2, as an infrastructure gear of the cities. And number 3, as a driving force to the nation's economy. What I see, first of all, at the first level, as the individual levels, well, I see art create emotions, as well as emotions create art. Arts have aesthetic value. When we were less developed, of course, the public arts tended to be overlooked. Why? Because people are living to meet their basic needs. They paid more attention to the function, rather aesthetic, or artistry side of point of view. Once their basic needs are met by functions, features and options is the next stage. And that features and option is something that they can choose, the freedom to choose, and then art played a role. They are likely to choose what they fit their needs. They can even design their own lifestyles, design their own, infrastructures to fit their need. And then to the next stage that people are looking for is the next step to fulfill the emotion or experience. And of course, to me, create emotional value or experience value has no limit. And art and art's aesthetic value comes to play. So economic point of view, there's things right there as an indirect role, and would like to explore more to this. Art is not about the policymaker to put into the community, but I strongly believe that it is the community to build themselves and make sure that it works, and make sure that you can live with it, you're happy with it. If we look at the second level of art at the infrastructure gear of the city, well, I believe creative infrastructure is a combination of the hard and soft sides. Arts are no longer additional feature or a decoration, but has become a commodity. Believe it or not, well, this is one of the government agency in Bangkok. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of going to any governmental offices of any kind. I'm sorry to say that, but this is honest. But, went there just the last weekend, to speak on the social enterprises, and then see that, wow, we've changed dramatically without knowing it. I see little, not a little, it's a huge reindeer head right there. It looks scary by the meaning, but it's cute for these kids. Yeah? Look like, well, you see, it's not just a decoration. It happens to be a commodity that people like to get involved with that and make this government office more pleasant to visit. And I can see, in the government office, normally we open like, 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, for example. But this one open like Saturday and Sunday. And then unbelievable that we have parents, kids, families just go there to hang out and visit the museum. This is one of, I'm sure that many of us here get involved with this project. We see that effective plannings and development involve all arts. And art, either to be the art of urban design, the art of winning community support, the art of transportation, planning and mastering the dynamics of community development. I can see the art create livable places, and that in turn art boosts quality of life, and that as an effect, art boosts human productivity. Believe it or not, well, this is my little survey that I'm doing in my university, when my students are graduates. So I ask people, what is the key decision that, key things that you make decision on where to go after school, what kind of workplace you want. Getting high salary is not the first priority anymore, but going to work in some awesome place, cool place, artistry it has become to the top 5 factors nowadays. So it's pretty interesting, and as go along with other researchers around the world too. I've just read one of those research and come up with the same conclusions that I have as an informal research of my own. It said skilled workers practically sacrifice higher salary to live in a place with vibrant cultural scenes. That's interesting. So you as a business owner or in the business sector, this is one thing that you attract the new talent. You just can't have the cubicle box with a higher salary and expect that the talent will come to you. You probably will have to create environments, art building into it to attract the talent. So that is a new, the new thing, the new way that we should see it. And also this is evidence that creative workers in the cities with a very high levels of cultural clustering will enjoy a wage premium, or at the end will suggest that not-for-profit arts and cultural sector may be generating knowledge spillovers into commercial and the creative economies as well. So when we create the place that can pull in the talent, the nice place, we can see that it will bring in diversity in populations. And that's how we define the cities. Well, we bring in multiple cultures, ideas, languages to the urban environment. And this mix will keep the cities, your workplace, your community exciting and represents one of the great human achievements. So that's something that is a strong relationship and a significant forces right there. Museum, I just love this place. I just can't help. I have to put up the photos. I loved it. It's the bamboo trunks, and then play with the children play with it to represent the musical instruments. If we talk about the project, let's see. We have this is one example that we worked on with Future Innovative Thailand Institute. Work closely with the Bangkok Administrative Office and with the great help of the private sector and also the Urban Design Center of Chulalongkorn University. Well, this is function that I told you about. If we want to commute, this is the walkway that we want. But if we adapt it a little bit, put the arts into it, a little bit of aesthetic values, I believe that everybody would appreciate it. But if you ask the common people right here, right now, would it be okay to have the the walk path or the bike lane like that, they will say, yeah, okay, we good, we cool, we love that, it fits the function. But we can walk extra miles and put up into it. And this is the plan that we like to do. We actually have a couple of projects which I believe that I can extend more and elaborate more on Friday, which is in Creative City Forum. 4 particular projects that we worked on, for example, urban regenerations, that we're going to utilize unutilized space, under the expressway, just like the Jakarta that we saw. We can use the good use out of it and make a good design. We create green links, green connectivities from spot to spot. In Bangkok, Bangkok, if you're going to right in downtown, in the center, in the CBD, yes, you can walk from point to point, but we can make it more pleasant and create the economic values out of it. We are working on the creative districts. Nang Leung is one of the pilot and example that I've been working on with the citizen of that community, and also smart street biz. And this is one of the examples. Like I said, I'm not an artist. I'm not good at when I take photos or anything. This very spot used to be a wet market behind Chulalongkorn University right in downtown. And now they have changed the whole deal. The buildings has changed, the environment has changed, aesthetics kicked in, but it's not only just the building, the hardware that changed, but I can see the students in the areas, parents have changed their way of life too. So they turn out to more appreciate on the, in the green areas, the art exhibition all around, which is none is there at the moment, but that's something that have changed the way we see things, and that will reflect the quality of life, as I mentioned earlier. And this one, the project that I mentioned a little bit earlier of this redesigned public space on smart street biz. If you have been in Bangkok, you might like how busy it is on our, the walkway. We have a lot of street vendors. Some foreigners loved it because it's easy to get something to eat and cheap and really delicious. But along the way, that creates the social problem because as economic things, stir up, people get to be on the walk, on the path, on the footpath, and actually pedestrians have to walk on the street, and that creates even more traffic. And this is a grand policy that Bangkok administrations are working fiercely at the moment. They're not trying to eliminate our own lifestyles, but we basically would try to create a better way, a smarter way to fit in our culture and our ways of life. Our street vendors will have to adapt. We as consumers will have to adapt. The Bangkok administrative will have to change their way of thinking. So not just eliminate entirely, we're probably going to allocate some things. We can co-living, we can coexist together and optimize the space we have and optimize economic values. I'm not sure this is the Japanese text, but this, my architect just put it right there. I'm pretty sure there's a meaning. Something that we can put in, in an orderly manner, and optimize both ways, the vendor itself and the consumers, and keep the environment more vibrant and represent how we are as a beautiful chaos, as I mentioned earlier. Another example is the movement of the people in the city, the citizen of the city, and also the city itself, like Hua Hin. Sikada Market is one of the good examples that people talks about. It used to be just, an empty parking lot, ugly and dirty. But now has changed the market that create the economic values right then. Something that I appreciate what they do and to make a positive impact to the citizen of the city. Other thing that I have, this is one of my organizations, not just the city, not just the policymakers, but the private sectors in our country have seen of importance of incorporating arts and culture in the business. Let me take example of the Center of Z ASEAN, which I get involved as an advisor and going to get involved even more when it's officially launched next year. This is the investment of the private sector to create a space that we can gather up, talking, sharing, and create some good deeds. C, ASEAN, the big C stands for all the good meaning of C: collaboration, connectivity, community, the culture of ASEAN. And the Southeast Asia community has become more and more important. And of course, Japan is one of the grand supporter of development in ASEAN. What we're trying to do, we would try to incorporate the business when the business meets arts and culture. We design things to make sure we don't leave out the important aspect of the daily life. We don't talk just money, we don't talk just economic value, GDP, but we are actually make sure that we're going to have the sustainable development altogether in the Southeast Asia country, and that, of course, to all partners around the world. And the places is nicely done. What I'm going to say is just everybody see importance, the new relationship of arts and the cities, and we hope that we're going to move this thing forward all together. And this place would like to be the place that draw in diversified people, the diversity, the new talent to make some good deeds. Well, it's see that the diversity of the populations define the cities, and bring in multiple cultures and different languages, different ideas to the urban environment. And this makes going to keep the city exciting and going to represent one of the great human achievements. What I would like to see, this is one of the finding of Thammasat Business School. We had it back then about several years back. We are in business school. It's easy to talk finance, it's easy to talk accounting, marketing, but we believe that in order to sustain the business in the future, we can't really deny a couple of things. Of course, the process have to be efficient. Technology comes into play to enhance all the operations and enhance the opportunity in the future. We never forget, if you want to optimize things, you can do it by math, you can get function right. But in the next stage, today's and the future aesthetic or art point of view comes into play, and we call this concept of the cooperation of design has been well received by Thai business. And these are the mix that we launch into the idea that if you want to sustain the business, make sure you think it through. It's just not about a financial aspect only anymore. It's all about together, and it's all about how we share our experience, our good experience to the society. Well, I would say that all these will go up to the third level that I mentioned. I mentioned the first two levels, the art that have impact on the individual level as infrastructure gears of the cities, and at the end will present the driving force to the economy of the nations. So let's see, diversity creates spillover effect, and that spillover effect creates the indirect economic values. Art in the city, of course, would attract investment by distinctive signature buildings, the talent that you can pull in, and the profile raising activities, and that eventually leads to the next step, which is to drive economy of the nations. Well, more important to that than the value of art itself, well, we must pay attention to the art of forming of partnership. When I said all along, it's not just the designer or architect that puts to art to the city, but all the parties have to get involved and hands in hands have the same vision. So it's all about the art of performing partnership itself between the public, the private, and the voluntary sectors, or the people sectors, what I'm going to say, to make sure we have the fair distribution of economic, social, and cultural, value, and use the right resource for that. To me, art is free form. It happens everywhere. Well, yes, we can have certain type of arts that we can go into as each type, but now we have the integration of arts. It's going to be more difficult to just classify into types and exclusive set. So if we try to do that, I believe that we practically fail since our own assumptions. Art can be abstract and certainly create a tangible impact. Another thing that I probably will open to the discussions earlier when we sit in the panel is a role of technology in arts. And it was one of the Nanjosang questions, how technology can involve with the arts. And I said, yes, in so many ways. The way we're making it, the way we distribute it, and the way we appreciate it. You like to see, the selfie cultures, the photo-taking cultures. That's the help of the social media can enhance the relationship between art and the cities and can create more values directly and indirectly to the business. We'd like to stop here for now, and I would open to the discussion later on. So thank you very much for having me here this morning.